Hi guys, my name is Megan and so I've got my mid-year freakout tag for you. Alright, so today we're doing the mid-year book freakout tag, whatever you want to call it. Can you believe we are already halfway through the year? Because I really can't. So let's go ahead and just dive right on in. Alright, so the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2022? Alright, so this one should be no shock to anybody who's seen my May wrap-up video, and that is The Hourglass Throne. This is by far the best book that I've read in 2022. I've already claimed this as my favorite book of the year. It's so good and one of the best books in this series so far, and each book just keeps getting better and better, and oh boy did this one have me all up in my feels. Alright, the next one is, what is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2022? Alright, this one shouldn't be a surprise either. This one is going to Heated Rivalry. This book had me all up in my feels and it was just so good, and Shane and Ilya are one of the best couples in a hockey romance that I've ever read, like hands down. They are amazing. All right, next up is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to. There are so many. I don't typically keep up with new release books that often or that well, but some that I do have that I'm really interested in are Yagi the Bookstore Goat. This is the first in a manga series, which looks really cute. The next one is Chef's Kiss, which is a graphic novel. And there are so many others that are just floating around on my TBR, and we'll get to them eventually. Is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. This one no doubt goes to Husband Material, which is the follow-up to Boyfriend Material, and I'm so excited. Also, the other one that I'm looking forward to the most is Fence Volume 5, which is the next volume in the Fence graphic novel series, and I just love these stupid sports boys so much. Okay, so next up is a favorite new author who's debut or new to you. This one I'm gonna go with Rowan Parrish and Amy Aislinn. I really loved their books this year. Rowan Parrish does contemporary romance and Amy Aislinn does sports romance. Both are LGBTQ books. I love them both to pieces and I can't wait to get my hands on more of their books. Okay, next up, what was the biggest disappointment for this year? All right, this one was kind of hard because I haven't really had any major disappointments, really. But the one that I do know that was pretty disappointing read for me was Squad. I had really mixed feelings about this one. It felt kind of gross and predatory the way these girls went after people and the way they kind of went after each other. So this one was just kind of for me. This one actually, I think I am unhauling this one at some point, so you guys will probably see this in an unhaul video sometime soon-ish. Next up is, what was the biggest surprise? So this one has to go to The Tribulations of Ross Young. I really loved this story, these little short stories. They were so good, and like they packed so much into such a short story. There's so much magic building and character building, and like you can see the relationships develop, and between all of these different stories, they're just so cute and so good, and I loved it. Okay, so next up, a book that made you happy. There were so many books that made me happy this year, but the one that comes to mind for this is Silver in the Wood. I loved this book. It made me so happy. This is like the book cottagecore dreams are made of. So next up is your newest fictional crush or newest favorite character. So my new favorite characters have to go to Shizuma and Minato from Therapy Game. I love them to pieces. They're both a little bit dramatic. Minato's a little dramatic. Shizuma is very kind of laid back and a little bit clueless, and I love them so much. And honestly, this is one of my favorite graphic novels of the year too. Next up, a book that made you cry. So this one shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but my two favorite books of the year are the ones that made me cry. So The Hourglass Throne and Heated Rivalry both had me all up in the feels and both had me crying at one point or another over them. Next up is your favorite book to film adaptation that you saw this year. This one should be no shock to anybody, but that would be Heartstopper. Heartstopper was so good, and it felt really true to the comic book, and again, this had me all up in my feels, and I was just really excited about it, and my mom and I binged it in one day. It was just lovely. Next up is the most beautiful book that you've bought or received so far this year. So there are so many books that I've gotten so far this year that fit this, but I had to go with one of my favorite graphic novels from this year so far, and that is On a Sunbeam. This is just such a lovely comic or graphic novel, and the color scheme is beautiful. It's got gorgeous colors. It's just one of the most gorgeous graphic novels that I've read. And it's vaguely like space westerny, and I'm really love it. And then the last question is a book that you need to read by the end of the year. So this one I don't really particularly have one book in mind that I have to read by the end of the year, because my reading this year has been a little all over the place. So many books that I would love to read, but I'm not gonna, jinx it or anything, but just gonna leave it at that. Alrighty, so that is the end of the mid-year book freakout tag. What was your guys' favorite book this year so far? Let me know down below. If you guys like this video, don't forget the like button. If you haven't already but would like to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to follow me on social media for more bookish stuff, check out the links down below. Alrighty, bye guys!